Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. Now, I did a show on it last night and touching on it again today. Sven Mislintat, the head of recruitment at Arsenal, set to leave the club according to reports that have been flying around everywhere in the media. Mislintat, of course, who was brought in under the old regime, brought in under Ivan Gazidis. But a lot of people look at it and think he's done a superb job so far on a very limited budget. Being responsible for bringing in pierre-emerick under his reign as well. Mkhitaryan, he managed to persuade him to come over as part of that sort of swap deal, which kind of cleared up a real mess when we left, when Alexis Sanchez left. He's been responsible for guys like Guendouzi, Torreira, Socrates, and we got to say, under the limited amount of money that Arsenal have had, the signing so far, if you take Lichtsteiner out, it's only been a loan deal, the signing so far been good. That's been the one encouraging area in an area where normally it's a total mess. But Mislintat apparently very unhappy at Arsenal. He not seemed to be getting on with Raul Sanelli, who's as well, you know, director and the head of football at Arsenal. Hasn't been really getting on with him, according to reports. Does have a good relationship with Unai Emery, but he's just not happy with the situation at Arsenal. I mean, there were rumours that he wasn't happy with the fact that, you know, there's no money to spend this month, etc. But from what I'm hearing, that's not the core reason, because he was brought in basically to identify players at a low cost. Yes, we know, right? And he's been doing that job pretty well. I think he's just not unhappy with the whole structure, the whole setup. He's feeling very undermined at the club and is looking to move on. Now, there's a lot of rumours that Bayern Munich are interested in taking Mislintat, but just another negative story to add to the misery so far of this transfer market, which so far this January has been a nightmare. It's been a disaster when we're being told we've got no money, we can only loan players. And now one of the experts in bringing in these type of players is set to leave. When he leaves, we don't know. Arsenal have not, you know, responded to the lots of talk so far that Mislintat will be leaving. They haven't made a response to it. It may not be he's moving immediately. It could be when the January window is closing, but it does look like Mislintat will be leaving. Somebody else who's leaving Arsenal is Petr Cech, who announced yesterday that he will be retiring at the end of the season. And, you know, very, very sad really that a guy, you know, anytime a great footballer is retiring, it's always sad to see. Listen, he'd done his greatest work at Chelsea. We know that. He won league titles there, Champions League. He won everything at Chelsea. And at one time was probably the best goalkeeper in the world. We know he's famous for the hat that he wears because of that horrendous head injury he got that time. But he's been a great servant to Arsenal as well since he's come in. You know, I know he had a bit of a dodgy season last year, but prior to that, he was doing well. He's been reliable. And we've won FA Cups under him, even though he hasn't always featured in those because, you know, Ospina's came in. But I just think that he's been a great servant to Arsenal Football Club. From what I've heard behind the scenes, he's always been one of those sort of leaders in the dressing room as well. A highly experienced player, and I think it's going to be really sad to see him go at the end of the season. Of course, what does that mean for Arsenal's goalkeeping situation? Do they promote Emilio Martinez to that #2 slot? He's sort of been hanging around for a little while now, Martinez. Does he get to come back and get into that slot? Will they bring back Ospina? Oh, sorry, no, hold on. Ospina sold, didn't it? Right? But Ospina was the #2. He was to be a #1. It does look like Arsenal may have to go out there and get in a new keeper as a backup if they don't go with Emilio Martinez. They've also got Matt Macy as well, of course, out on loan as well. But as well, where it will be good for Arsenal is it will take £100,000 a week off of the wage bill as well. So it does look like there will be money to spend come the summer because there are a lot of high earners that are going to be leaving. But good luck to Petr Cech in whatever he does in the future, I'm sure he's going to be really, really successful. Another player, Arsenal player, linked with a move away is Mohamed Elneny. Now, I said yesterday about the tweet that he put out where he was talking about, you know, he was celebrating his anniversary at the club, and it sort of seemed to suggest that he could be moving on. Lots of rumours still around today that he could be moving on. Inter Milan said to be interested, sorry, not Inter Milan, Roma said to be keen on signing him according to reports. What they would prefer to do would be to take Mohamed Elneny on loan to the end of the season with an option to buy him, according to reports. Elneny, as I reported a couple of days ago, being told by the coach of Egypt to go and play football on a regular basis. That's what he wants to see him do. He's also been linked with a move away to Leicester City. Still only 26, so in his prime. But it does seem like Mohamed Elneny will be moving in. Whether it's going to move on, whether it will be on loan or whether it will be for a fee, we will have to wait and see. Now, this next one's an interesting one. James Rodriguez, the Colombian, of course, who plays for currently plays for Bayern Munich, actually on loan to Bayern Munich from Real Madrid, has been linked with a move to Arsenal. Now, under the new manager, Niko Kovac, he's hardly been getting any game time at Bayern Munich. He's been on the bench literally the whole season, and he's keen to move on. Now, Real Madrid, of course, they don't really want him back at the moment. Bayern Munich, paying a big loan fee for him, and there's talk that they would be willing to let him join Arsenal on loan for the remainder of the season if Arsenal were to pay the £3 million loan fee to Real Madrid. James Rodriguez. Listen, I'm not sure about James Rodriguez. He was, don't get me wrong, a great player. He did have a decent season as well last year at Bayern under Carlo Ancelotti. However, I'm not sure if he is the James Rodriguez of, about 6 years ago when he burst on the scene where he was really, really playing well. I'm not sure if he's still that type of player. He's still pretty young. He's only 27, so he's still a youngish player, very experienced, very skillful player. But there's a lot of suggestions out there that he could be the guy that we bring in to replace Mesut Ozil. And there's a lot of talk that if Ozil does go in this January window, and there's suggestions that maybe Ozil could move on loan, the fees that would be freed up there would be able to go towards paying James Rodriguez fee. That is what the talk is. I mean, £3 million to get a player of James Rodriguez quality till the end of the season doesn't seem like a lot for a club like Arsenal, but we seem to be even struggling to do that. Dependent on moving on Ozil. For me, I'd be excited to get James Rodriguez if that meant that we kept Ozil. All of a sudden I'll be looking at it and say, well, James Rodriguez, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, Lacazette. All of a sudden, there's some star-studded players there. There's players there that can maybe be the difference and try to get us into that top four. If, of course, we've also brought in a centre-back. But if it's to bring him in by, you've got to sacrifice Ozil, because, as I said, a lot of talk would be to send Ozil out on loan, and, maybe a club cover half of his wages. I really, really not sure about that one. And on the Ozil thing, that's been muted around a lot today in the media that, Arsenal will be willing to let Ozil go out on loan. They know that probably a club would only probably cover about half of his wages at best. And Inter Milan said to be the only club at the moment that's really partly interested in that, but they just not getting the interest in Ozil. Number one, he's not playing at the moment. He didn't have a great World Cup, remember, famously leaving the German team at the end of the World Cup. His stock is not high at the moment, and he's on £350,000 a week, and he's not playing. It's just not no clubs out there at the moment really that interested in bringing Mesut Ozil in. So it may have to be that Unai Emery just has to say, listen, I'm going to have to bite the bullet now and try and get this guy back in the team. But it still lingers on, the Ozil factor. And then there's Yannick Carrasco. This one has been going back and forth for the past couple of days. I Told you that a couple of days ago his wife was suggesting that, you know, he wants to come to Europe. She even was asked a question about Arsenal, if those are one of the clubs interested in him, and she said yes. There's suggestions out today saying that Arsenal are going to try and move for Yannick Carrasco. There are other suggestions saying that Arsenal can't afford Yannick Carrasco. Again, let's wait and see how that one develops. And of course, Denis Suarez, this one goes on and on and on. Again, it still looks like they're trying to negotiate to bring in Denis Suarez before the end of the January transfer window on loan. For me, if we're going to get this sort of deal done, we need to get this done fast because we've got Chelsea coming up at the weekend. Going to be really interesting, Unai Emery's press conference this week. He's going to be asked all about Mislintat. He's going to be asked about, obviously be asked about Cech. He'll be asked about the Denis Suarez, Yannick Carrasco, Ozil. He's going to have one busy press conference ahead of that Chelsea game this weekend. Listen, thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget the Real Football Fan Show, the show that I do on Channel 4, returns next week, Friday at midnight. That show will be back. So if you want to look ahead to all the Premier League games, make sure you check it out on Channel 4 if you're over here in the UK. It returns and we're back for a long stint. So make sure you check that out on Channel 4. Thanks to everyone who's been supporting that show. We're back. And looking forward to this weekend's game against Chelsea. But we've got to get our transfers sorted out.